Have you ever wondered why some people seem effortlessly loved while others constantly struggle to feel seen, valued, or desired? Is love truly random? Or is there a deeper, invisible force at play that determines who we are drawn to, and who is drawn to us? Today, we explore two powerful psychological reasons why you are loved, according to Carl Jung, the Swiss psychiatrist whose theories continue to revolutionize the way we understand relationships, self-worth, and the mysterious mechanics of attraction. This isn't just about romance. This is about uncovering the very foundations of your psyche, how it silently dictates your patterns of love, and how your shadow self may secretly be shaping your romantic destiny. Carl Jung didn't just explore the mind. He peeled back the layers of the human soul. And his shocking discoveries reveal that love, in its purest form, is far from accidental. It is deeply psychological, shaped by unconscious patterns, archetypes, and the hidden forces within each of us. So prepare to embark on a journey through your own unconscious. Because by the end of this video, you'll not only understand why you're loved, but also how to awaken deeper, more meaningful connections with others. Let's begin with the first psychological reason. Reason 1. You are loved because you mirror the other's shadow. Carl Jung introduced the concept of the shadow, the hidden part of ourselves we repress or deny. It contains our fears, weaknesses, shame, but also our hidden strengths and potential. The shadow isn't evil, it's just unconscious. In relationships, especially romantic ones, people are often unconsciously attracted to someone who reflects their shadow. They're drawn not just to your smile or your confidence, but to the parts of you that resonate with what they've buried inside themselves. Imagine this. A person who has always suppressed their emotions might be drawn to someone deeply expressive. A person who denies their vulnerability may fall in love with someone gentle, empathetic, even fragile. You don't just offer them comfort, you offer them psychological completion. You embody something they've disowned, and in loving you, they are unconsciously trying to reclaim that missing part of themselves. This is what Jung meant when he said, "The meeting of two personalities is like the contact of two chemical substances. If there is any reaction, both are transformed." When someone loves you, deeply and intensely, part of what they're loving is themselves, reflected in you. Their shadow finds a home in your being. It is not manipulation. It is not control. It is the unconscious yearning for wholeness manifesting through attraction. But there's a danger. When the shadow becomes too intense, when the reflection is too real, it can scare them. You become a mirror they're not ready to look into. They might pull away, confused, overwhelmed, even hostile. Not because of who you are, but because of what you awaken in them. And this brings us to the second psychological reason you're loved. Reason 2. You are loved because you represent an archetypal force. Carl Jung believed that deep within the collective unconscious, shared by all humans, there exist universal symbols and roles he called archetypes. These archetypes shape how we see the world, how we behave, and especially, how we love. You might unconsciously embody one of these archetypes for someone else. Perhaps you're the anima, the feminine soul image within a man, or the animus, the masculine soul image within a woman. These aren't gender roles, they're psychological blueprints. When someone sees you and falls in love instantly, it might not be about you as an individual, but about the archetype you activate in their mind. You become their ideal, their missing piece, their spiritual counterpart. Let's break this down further. If a man has an undeveloped anima, his inner feminine, he might fall madly in love with a woman who expresses tenderness, creativity, or mystery. She represents what he lacks. But he's not just seeing her, he's seeing his own soul projected onto her. This can create deep, soul-shaking love. But it can also become idealization, placing you on a pedestal, seeing you as divine. And when you inevitably reveal your human flaws, the illusion shatters. Jung warned that this projection can create both ecstasy and suffering. Because the more someone projects their inner world onto you, the more they fall in love not with who you are, but with who they need you to be. Now, let's reverse this. Someone may love you because you embody the hero, the wise sage, the lover, or even the innocent. These archetypes are magnetic because they connect us to ancient, inherited patterns of meaning. Your mere presence can activate a story within someone else, a story they've unconsciously carried since childhood or even inherited through generations. This is not manipulation. This is the unconscious mind seeking fulfillment through symbols. You become a living myth in someone else's psychological landscape. Jung called this the transcendent function, where your personal and archetypal identity merge, elevating love into a spiritual experience. But there's a cost. When someone sees you only as an archetype, they might not truly see you. They see the story they need, the role they crave. And when you deviate from the script, the relationship begins to fracture. That's why so many powerful, passionate loves end in disappointment. They were built on a symbol, not a soul. So what can we do with this knowledge? Understanding these two reasons, shadow mirroring and archetypal projection, can radically change the way you see love. But more importantly, it can help you heal your relationships. First, ask yourself, who have I attracted, and why? Think back to your past relationships. Were you always the strong one? The rescuer? The mystery? The rebel? Were you unconsciously fulfilling a role someone else needed? And did you feel truly seen, or just symbolized? Then flip the question, who are you drawn to? Is it their laugh, their eyes, or something deeper? What part of you do they awaken? What shadow do they carry for you? This level of self-inquiry is not easy. It requires brutal honesty. But it can free you. Jung taught that love without consciousness is often projection. But love with consciousness becomes transformation. You begin to see the other not as a symbol, not as a shadow, but as a soul. A unique, imperfect being walking their own path. And you can begin to love them not for what they reflect, but for who they truly are. The beauty of Jung's discovery is that it doesn't reduce love to biology or chance. It elevates love into a sacred mirror, a portal to self-discovery. In loving someone, we are often trying to reclaim the parts of ourselves we have lost, hidden, or feared. In being loved, we are often offering the same. But there is a risk. Because love based on projection can feel euphoric, but it is unstable. The moment the illusion fades, disillusionment sets in. You feel betrayed, not because they changed, but because they were never who you thought they were. So how do we transcend this? Jung believed the answer was individuation, the process of integrating all parts of ourselves, both conscious and unconscious, into a whole self. When you begin to own your shadow and recognize your archetypes, you become less reactive. You stop needing someone else to complete you. You stop projecting your wounds onto others. You begin to love with clarity, not confusion. This is how real love is born, not from need, not from fantasy, but from the meeting of two whole beings. And the most astonishing part? When you become whole, the love you attract also becomes whole. Let's go even deeper into Jung's framework. The shadow and the archetype are not just abstract theories. They play out in real everyday love stories, in the way we are captivated by someone's eyes, in the way we feel a soul connection we can't explain, in the way we sabotage the very relationships we claim to want. You may have pushed someone away because they saw a part of you that you were not ready to face. You may have fallen deeply in love with someone who seemed to complete you, only to discover that they were a projection of your unmet needs. Jung's work shows us that love isn't just about compatibility, it's about psychological recognition. Here's a real-world example. A man who grew up with a cold, emotionally distant mother may crave warmth, emotional intensity, and affection in his partner. He may find himself hopelessly drawn to someone who offers this, but that attraction isn't just about love. It's about healing. He's trying to fill the wound left in childhood. That partner becomes more than a lover. She becomes a symbol of healing, a mother figure, an archetype. But what happens if she fails to fulfill that unconscious role? He may feel betrayed, even if she did nothing wrong. Why? Because she didn't just disappoint him, she awakened the original wound. This dynamic plays out in countless relationships. We fall in love with the healer, the muse, the protector, the forbidden. But behind the romance, the mind is working overtime, trying to resolve unfinished psychological business. And this is why understanding these dynamics is so crucial. When you realize that love is often a search for the lost self, you can stop blaming your partner and start listening to your unconscious. So how do you apply this? Start with self-awareness. Who do I become in relationships? What traits do I always fall for? Do I see people as they are, or as I need them to be? Then go further. Journal. Meditate. Reflect. Bring your shadow into the light. Reclaim your projections. Because only when you stop using love to fix your past can you start using love to build your future. As Jung once said, until you make the unconscious conscious, it will direct your life and you will call it fate. And in no area is this more true than in love. Let's now discuss how this understanding transforms your relationships in practice. When you recognize that others may love you because of the shadow or archetype you represent, you can begin to navigate love with clarity instead of confusion. You stop asking, "Why did they leave me?" and start asking, "What did I represent to them, and what did they represent to me?" Suddenly, heartbreak becomes not a rejection, but a revelation. You see the patterns. You recognize the cycles. You heal not just from this relationship, but from the generations of psychological programming behind it. And this is the power of Jung's work. It doesn't just explain love. It liberates it. You begin to take radical responsibility for your emotional life. You become less reactive, less needy, less afraid. And when love does come, it is no longer a desperate craving for completion. It is an offering of presence, of wholeness. Imagine this. You meet someone. There is attraction. But instead of losing yourself in fantasy, you ask, what am I projecting? What part of my psyche are they activating? You don't abandon the romance, but you become aware of the myth you're living. This doesn't kill love, it deepens it. It makes it sacred, conscious. You start to notice the roles you play. You stop clinging to illusions. You start building connection on truth, not on projections. You learn to love someone not because they complete you, but because they walk beside you, whole in their own way. And you begin to see yourself differently, too. You are not just someone's type. You are not just the rebel, the muse, the mother, or the hero. You are a complex being with a soul that goes far beyond roles. And that is why true love is so rare, because it requires two people who are willing to see each other fully, without masks, without scripts. Carl Jung called this individuated love. Not love based on need, but love based on mutual awakening. And it is the most powerful force in the human experience. But how do you begin the journey toward this level of love? You begin by turning inward. Carl Jung's message was clear. You cannot find wholeness in another person until you find it within yourself. You must meet your own shadow. You must embrace your own archetypes. You must integrate what is unconscious into the light of awareness. This is not easy, but it is essential. Because when you heal your inner world, your outer world transforms. Your relationships stop being reenactments of your childhood traumas. They become playgrounds of truth, intimacy, and shared evolution. And this is the ultimate truth Jung gave us. You are loved not just for your beauty, your mind, or your smile. You are loved because you awaken something ancient and forgotten in another soul. You become their mirror, their myth, their medicine. And when you understand that, you stop fearing love. You start honoring it. You start loving not from fear, but from freedom. So the next time you ask, why does this person love me? Remember, they may be loving the part of you that reflects what they've lost, or the part that awakens who they long to become. And in loving you, they are trying to heal themselves. Love is a journey, not toward another person, but toward the truth of who you are. And when two people embark on that journey together, with eyes wide open, shadows embraced, archetypes honored, that is when love becomes sacred. That is when love becomes real. So take this message to heart. Do the inner work. And remember that the love you give and the love you receive are both reflections of your psychological depth. You are loved not by chance, but by design. And that design lives deep within the architecture of your soul. Watching this video. We ask that you subscribe to our channel and like this video. Also, activate the notification bell to be alerted about our posts. See you in the next video.